The capturing process transforms the CO2 to prepare it for transport and storage.
In the far north of Japan's Honshu Island, wind farms blanket the landscape.
Biofuels in general are as old as the car. The first plan for Model Ts was to use ethanol, and early diesel engines could run on peanut oil,
making the technology applicable in many regions of the world. It is the first time that all plant components can be used.
And that's the way that we start the show, where we start talking about solutions that mainstream media ignores. I'm Darren Howard.
I'm Robert Nisbet.
And I'm Kendra Cooper.
So good to have you along as we talk about the innovations, the expropriations from the logical world that are getting implemented everywhere.
Well, don't forget, last weekend we hit that magical number, 400 parts per million for carbon dioxide in the atmosphere.
Of course, that is a debatable fact if you listen to the conservatives, but we want you to listen to this.
By 2030, there will be more of us, and we will need more energy, 50% more. Satisfying our energy demand without risking escalating global warming requires drastic short-term measures against the major CO2 emitters, power plants, heavy industry, and refineries. One of the most promising solutions can be found in carbon capture and storage technology, CCS for short.
CCS is all about capturing CO2 from large emitters, for instance power plants. And this captured CO2 can be transported via pipelines and stored underground, for instance in empty gas fields.
The capturing process transforms the CO2 to prepare it for transport and storage. Chemical solvents first wash or separate the CO2 stream before it is being dehydrated and compressed. Between 2008 and 2011, the EU-funded project CESAR explored cost reduction possibilities of the capturing process, such as the analysis of various low-cost solvents.
So, after the testing in the lab, the solvents were tested at a small-scale pilot like this, and the most promising ones were selected for testing at even a larger scale.
Such as this pilot plant at Maasvlakte in Rotterdam, which is currently being used for the CESAR follow-up project Octavius. The EU-funded projects CESAR and Octavius advance CCS to a stage where all aspects can now be tested, including transportation and storage. When a full-scale implementation of CCS at a European level is proven feasible and cost-efficient for the industry, a CO2 reduction of 400 million tonnes by 2030 will no longer be just a distant dream.
Now, I don't know about you, but that seems a much more viable solution than carbon tax credits.
Yeah, trying to buy your way out of it is basically what the government's trying to do.
Yeah.
Canada bails out of Kyoto, and we've got these guys obviously solving the problem.
Yeah.
And of course, we've got our politicians shilling for the oil sands.
Oh my gosh, since when does our government only have one focus? Okay? Oil sands? Come on, grow up.
I guess we should be happy they can focus on something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's mock the conservatives a little bit more, but...
However, in Japan, they're coming up with more solutions to the energy crisis.
Okay, so Japan's on the money, and you're with the winning team. Thanks for joining us. Radio Free Canada, check it out.
In the far north of Japan's Honshu Island, wind farms blanket the landscape. They are one piece in an energy puzzle, as Japan tries to figure out how it will power itself in a post-Fukushima world. 2 years after the tsunami and destruction of the now crippled nuclear power plant. It is a tall order when it comes to wind power. But at the heart of Japan Wind Development's Futamata project are these massive batteries, 17 of them, capable of storing energy and releasing it in an even flow.
This completely changes the equation for a renewable power plant. You can actually supply the power when it's needed, not just when the wind is blowing.
The batteries can store energy through the night when there's usually more wind, and then release it during the day when demand is higher. But as the company admits, it doesn't come cheap.
The holy grail really for us will be to bring down the cost of renewable plus storage.
This is just one part of the wind energy equation in Japan. Another idea being floated, literally, is harnessing the wind on the water. This project launched off the coast of Nagasaki last August. And later this year, the country will start work on an even bigger endeavor off the coast of Fukushima, just miles from the now infamous nuclear power plant. Ideas that are generating energy as well as debate about the best ways to power the country. Alex Zolbert, CNN, Rokashimura, Japan.
I mean, Japan is taking it and trying new things. And you might not be able to stop a tsunami, but you can participate in harm reduction technology and energy and make sure that the same things don't happen again.
But wait a second, we're Canada.
Yeah.
We have hot springs all the way through there.
Yeah.
Take a look at Reykjavik. All of its power for the whole entire city is running off of hot springs. We got a string of them.
Yeah.
All the way up and down
But
from
wait,
Revelstoke down.
the energy companies can't get rich off of, green technology.
I know. That just messes with our economy.
Exactly.
Put your quotes up when you say the word economy.
Economy sits on the throne.
I know. 35 jobs created by a pipeline, 200,000 created by green refineries. But, forget about that.
Oh, no. We've only got a 9,000-year-old Earth, so, God will take care of things, right?
God gave us the dinosaurs so that we could take the fuel.
Yeah, that's, yeah.
That's after we stop putting saddles on and riding them.
Yes. Remember, Raptor Jesus. At any rate, we are talking about the solutions here, but they're obvious and they're everywhere.
Yeah. And this one could work right here in the Kelowna Valley.
Wait a second.
In the Okanagan Valley.
It reminds me of that song. It's Millions of Peaches.
Peach trees are about to get a makeover, making it the second time the fruit bearer has gotten a huge transformation. The first time was to domesticate them for food. This time, it's to make them a source for biofuel. Doing so is no small task, as it involves unraveling their genome and figuring out how to make the tree more biofuel friendly. Scientists believe the key is in its evergreen locus, the part that extends the growing season. If the growth period could be stretched, it may be able to bulk up on the biomass needed to become a worthy biofuel contender. Biofuels in general are as old as the car. The first plan for Model Ts was to use ethanol, and early diesel engines could run on peanut oil. Petroleum was cheap and plentiful at one time, so biofuels went by the wayside. With gasoline prices being what they are now, the fuel alternative is getting a serious second look. The biggest problem with the present ethanol production is that it's difficult to make, and some believe it takes more energy to produce than it ultimately creates.
I have a kind of an issue with that. The idea of you messing with the genome of the peach tree to create biofuel could have repercussions.
So that's part of the real debate process on the whole genetically modified thing.
Yeah.
Okay, we do have a march against Monsanto coming up. We are going to that. Okay, and I mean everybody. There's a lot of people who are going to be down for this.
Well, it's a worldwide event.
Yeah.
But when you start talking about maybe using genetically modified to improve the planet, you know that you're going to ruffle a lot of feathers.
Well, of course, because that means it might cut out of Monsanto's profits.
And it might upset a whole bunch of anti-GMO guys.
That
so
too.
you get both sides to it. So that's the debate.
It crosses paths, right? So you've got, environmentalists saying, hey, we can do this, and then you have non-GMO, hopefully it doesn't ruffle feathers. Hopefully we can talk about it and work together, because if you're for the environment, and if you're against GMOs, you should be working together.
Well, hang on, don't forget though, the whole issue with GMOs is there hasn't been sufficient testing on the effects of them in the wild.
For consumption.
Right. Now, if they want to do this, maybe they should do the proper testing rather than rush it to market.
Yeah, but you would have to employ scientists and listen to them.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
We're in Canada.
We live in Canada. We don't do that unless it makes a profit.
Unless it supports oil. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Kind of weird. One last time. One last one real quick on this one. Because, yes.
What do we do with all the plastic?
Okay, check it out.
In 2009, about 2 million tons of plastics were produced worldwide. Largely dependent on the petroleum industry, their production has become a true headache for our planet. The EU is funding projects like Biosynergy or BioCore, where European partners are finding ways to produce biofuels and plastics out of eco-friendly materials. Within this European consortium, a pilot plant in the north of France is supplied with various byproducts, such as straw and forestry residues. These raw materials can be found in different climates and in substantial quantities, making the technology applicable in many regions of the world. It is the first time that all plant components can be used for the production of biofuels or convenience goods. The objective now is to complete the production process, taking advantage of the existing European know-how. 70% of today's polymers can be derived from biomass instead of petroleum. Thanks to the flexibility offered by biorefineries, experts have enlarged the field of research from biofuels to bioplastics. They have also made production chains more effective and thus confirmed non-food biomass as a promising source of energy for the next years.
So we do say get informed, get involved, and start talking about these plastics that are out there and what we can do with them.
Well, that's a lot of waste.
That's a lot of waste.
Yeah.
There's also major studies right now. Now, I'm saying this to all the women who are listening. Do not leave your clear plastic water bottles in the sun. It creates carcinogens.
Or
Yeah.
better still, get a metal water bottle.
Yeah.
Something that protects your water from the sun. But those bottles, any bottle that's clear that gets exposed to the sun, releases carcinogens.
Yeah,
Yeah.
PBSs or PCBs.
Yeah, something like that. But make sure you check our facts, because we're not the guys making commercials saying, trust us, because we don't have to. Okay, you've got a brain. You can use it. We trust you. Okay.
Now, the best energy source, of course, is our solar one.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we're always coming up with new ideas to use it, and these guys have a great new idea.
In their quest for green energy, scientists have been looking at what the sun has to offer. While photovoltaics could supply up to 12% of Europe's electricity in a few years, the technology needs further improvements. Promising leads are photovoltaics concentration, or CPV, that use optical systems to concentrate the light.
Conventional photovoltaics uses cells like this. They operate at the conventional level of the sunshine. With many solar cells, very small and very tiny, we can produce 1,000 times more energy than with the conventional one.
Direction, the south of Spain and its unique photovoltaic fields. This centre hosts the most advanced technologies in Europe. Here, experts are testing the efficiency of modules developed under the EU-funded project NACIA. The objective is to make the technology ready for utility-scale power plants, but the project also developed new applications, such as this small demonstration plant in Egypt, which replaces the polluting diesel formerly used to pump water.
In many locations around the world, you do not have a grid connection, but you need electricity. We realized a standalone system which is not connected to the grid. It's completely autonomous and provides electricity there where it's needed, for example, for irrigation.
Such innovation could change the lives of millions of people, creating growth locally. By proving the reliability of CPV at an industrial and local scale, NACIA is confirming Europe as a leader in PV technology on the global photovoltaic market.
And of course, where is Canada on this?
Well, we are the leading producer of toxic carbon dioxide gases.
Of the
Yay.
planet. It's the size of Newfoundland or whatever, what we're starting to inject into the atmosphere.
You can see it
Yeah.
from space.
Yes, okay. Of course, then if you go on Google Earth, it's conveniently covered up. Okay, we want you to check our sources on that, but remember, go on Google Earth, go Google Earth Maps, and go and check out the tar sands from the satellite view
Yep.
and see if they're bringing us the truth.
We could ask Hatfield.
We have solutions right here, and Major News is ignoring them because if it doesn't bleed, it doesn't lead, and that's why they're losing ratings and we're gaining them. I'm Darren Howard.
I'm Robert Nisbet.
And I'm Kendra Cooper.
Hang on, because we've got lots of specials coming up, and we want to make sure that you get involved. Join us with the March for Monsanto.
And, of course, our Justice for Buddy rally on the 18th, on Saturday.
Yep.
Make sure you stay tuned, get informed. We're going to be back with more.
Since 1971, when President Nixon took the United States off what was left of the gold standard, the world has operated under a system of money called fiat. The dollar, the pound, the euro are all government fiat currencies. Fiat is a Latin word meaning let it be so. It is the law that this government currency be money. Indeed, without that legal enforcement, and the fact that we must pay taxes in this money, that dollar bill or that computer digit that represents a dollar would be pretty much meaningless. Only the government has the power to issue fiat money, but banks can create it through lending. If somebody wants to borrow $10, a bank can create it from nowhere and lend it. It can then charge interest. Banks also create money by lending against an asset, such as a house. They're given the deeds to the house, and they create the money out of nowhere and lend it, at interest, of course. But who benefits? Of course, those that have the power to issue money. governments and banks. They haven't had to do anything productive, they just create money. However money is created, be it through lending, fractional reserve banking, financial bailouts, or old-fashioned money printing, banks are always at or near the top of the money issuing pyramid.